Welcome back to Doom Builder. This is part 13 of my tutorial series. The last episode was basically just mapping, but this one I have a few things I specifically want to look at and cover. So we're going to look at in this video some secret areas, lifts, and some things about switches to be aware of. Before we get started, I want to give you a quick recap of some off-camera changes I made. If you've been watching this whole time, hopefully you start to understand my process, and I don't necessarily have to show you on camera every single thing I do. But that said, I do want to just give you a quick recap so that you're not surprised. So first off, this hallway here, when you first enter the building, go through the silver door, I put some lights behind cages in this hallway, and it just makes this room a lot more visually engaging than it was when they were just metal walls. Next, I'm going to continue on to our first spoke. I did some lighting work in this room. So I added a ceiling light here, brightness brightness is 256, shining down on the stairs. I drew in some shadows through these pillars between the windows. Did a slight texture change there, and I put these comp weird panels up here. So we've got comp weird, the sides have comp span, and if you look right here, there is a sneaky little gap here, and we'll get to this in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and launch Doom for a second, just so you can see how the lighting looks in-game. Ultimate Doom Builder's renderer is based on GZ Doom, which is a little bit different than every other Doom source port in the way it looks. So when you're playing with shadows and shading, light levels and all that, it's a really good idea to just fire up the actual game and see how it looks. Because if you look here looks like I'm using Crispy Doom at the moment, these shadows, there's a lot more contrast than there is in the editor. So again, just start the game up, look around every once in a while, make sure it looks the way you expect. Because if you go solely based on the editor, it's gonna mislead you. One last quick change. I changed these tech pillars to actual pillars because I just did not like how it looked. And this gives us a little more consistency with what we did here at the starting area. We had these support pillars here. Okay, now on to the actual topic of this episode. I'm gonna go to this curved staircase, and I mentioned this sneaky little gap right here. I'm going to hide a switch in there. So let's go ahead and draw that. And this is going to be an activator for what's going to be the first secret in this series. Just going to draw a box back here. Drag this floor up. I'm going to go ahead and stand on this and hit G to turn gravity off. Level my mouse out. I want to make sure that my crosshair, when it's centered, is actually hitting the wall inside this cubby. Drag this down, bring it to about here. I'm going to copy this texture here and here. Upper and lower unpegged so that it lines up. And now this back section, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put a switch there. I think I'm going to use switch 1 gray. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to arrow key this over, try to make it a little more centered. Now I've got this sneaky little switch here. I'm going to go ahead and reduce the brightness, maybe one level, 96. We're going to be really sneaky here. Since this is activating a secret, there's a good chance that players are going to run past this and just not even see it. Now what that means is this should be a high value secret. What I'm wanting is for this switch to open this door right here. Now if I select our switch line, I'm going to open up the actions, and we're going to expand doors. We've talked a little bit about doors. So far, I believe we've only used DR, door open, wait, close, also monsters, which is action 1. We also used one of the keyed doors on the exit door. What I want to look at this time, there is one door type that starts with GR. So for a quick recap, DR is a standard door. When it's activated, it's just going to do a door action on the sector that's behind the Linedef you hit. The W actions are walk actions, so you can walk over a line and have it open a door somewhere else. There's this one here in the middle though that says GR, and this one is special. The G stands for gunfire, as it says down here in the corner. So this is an action that is activated by being shot with a hit scan weapon. Now by hit scan, I mean chainsaw, fists, pistol, shotguns, chain gun. That's it. So anything with a G action, those will activate. Your rocket launcher, plasma gun, and BFG will not activate them. So just keep that in mind. So this action is GR door open stay. We're going to select this. Now this, because it's not a D action, it needs a tag. If it's a D action, it's just going to immediately operate on whatever sector is behind the line. But this is not a D, this is something else, so it needs a tag. Tags are basically integer identifiers that are used to link up lines and sectors so that an action on one can affect something somewhere else. So what I'll do, I'm going to click new. This is just going to pick the first unused tag in the map, and that's 1 because we have not used a tag yet. So this switch, when it's activated, is going to send a signal out on tag 1, and anything else in the map that is listening on tag 1 is going to receive the action. Sorry, I just realized I was zoomed in. So this tag area is down here in the bottom of this window. You can see where it says tag 1, and it just auto-selected that when I hit new. I'm going to go to our door down here, switch to sector mode, bring this up, and I'm going to give it the same tag. So now this sector is listening on tag 1, and if any action occurs on tag 1, this sector is going to respond. Now Doom Builder will draw a line that's going to help you keep track of how your actions are linked up. So if I mouse over this sector, you'll see this arrow, and it has a little text pop-up, tooltip, says GR door open stay. So you can follow that arrow and see where it goes, and it's going up here to our switch. I can also highlight the line in Linedef mode, and it does the same thing. So as your maps get bigger and more complicated, and you're maybe forgetting what actions are performed or where they link up, this is especially the case with teleports, which we haven't covered yet, but we'll get to it. This is just a good way to figure out, okay, where does that teleport go? Where does that switch activate? Let's test this real quick. I'm going to save, launch Doom, and I'm just going to id clip so I can get over here a little bit quicker. Okay, first thing I want to look at is how does the brightness look? That might be too dark, honestly. This might be too sneaky. You could look right at that and not know that's there. Anyway, if I shoot it, should have heard a door open, and this did in fact open, so that action works. I'll go ahead and raise this brightness up. Go to 112. So now that we have a way to open this door, we need the area behind it to actually be a secret, and we need to have something really enticing. So what I'm going to do for this is that door is going to open up to an area here that kind of oversees this outdoor, whatever you want to call this. I haven't decided what this is going to be yet. Courtyard, whatever. So we'll have a ledge up here, and we're going to put something really high value up here. Right now I'm thinking either a soul sphere or a plasma gun, but I'm just going to create the area, and we will wait on actually populating items up there until we get to that part of the mapping, which is going to be towards the end of the series. So I'm going to open this up a little bit. Let's start with our outdoor area. Just draw something nice boxy thing up here. Drag this up to, let's do about 128. That is a good height so that we can put monsters up here and have them shoot down at you. Tech green is not going to be our final texture here, but I'm going to work on that off camera, so I'm just going to paste that and roll with it for now. Over here, I'm going to make this line up more with our interior sector. I'm going to go ahead and connect these about like this. Close that off. And they're two different heights, so initially this doesn't look good at all. But we'll fix that with a lift. I'm going to grab ceiling and floor, go ahead and bring these up to be even with out here. Copy this texture here on the floor. These are not final textures again. This is just, I'm roughing this in. I have no idea what this should look like yet. Now, right in the middle, we're going to put a platform. Let's put it about right here. I'm going to do 128 by 64. Draw a sector here. Now this sector here, I'm going to grab and lower that back down because I changed my mind. Like so. I'm going to drag this up. Actually, I'm going to set this lower here to use, it's under the base category, and it's called platform, or plat 1. And this is kind of your generic Doom platform lift texture thing. And since this is 128 high and this sector is shorter, I'm going to raise this one tick so that that lines up. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to put some divider textures here. We're going to do just our standard thing. Make this 24 by 24 on either side. Go ahead and grab these and we'll make them support 3. Zero out our texture offsets. And we kind of have a lift thing started here. And then I already changed my mind. I wanted to talk about switches, so this needs to be a switch instead of a platform. So I'm going to change this lower, away from plat. And we're going to use, let's use silver 2. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a switch in the middle of this. I'll switch back to map mode. I'm going to draw a line here. I'm just right-clicking in vertex mode, and that inserts a vertex. And what I'm trying to do is split between the blue bars. I'm going to grab this middle lower, and we're going to change this to a switch texture. We will use, let's see if switch 1, that might be too short. Yeah, we've got vertical repeats going on, which is not what I wanted. We've got just enough clearance to lower that like this and make it work. And we've got a seam here that I want to hide, so I'm going to go ahead and grab these two sides, turn highlight mode off with H so we can see what we're doing, and I'm just going to lower this until the highlights line up. So now we got this ugly vertical thing here. Clean this up, we're just going to make this short. I'm going to bring the ceiling down a bit. A bit more. Grab all of these. Line that up with the top. And probably lower one more tick so these down here are not visible. And I think that works finally. That was a bit convoluted, but we got there. Fix this. Do a couple divider textures. While I'm looking at it, some of these things I'm almost doing out of habit, you know, divider textures and so on, because I see a spot that needs one and I'm just going to take care of it really quick while I have the time, while I'm thinking about it. Okay, now we're going to use this switch to activate this lift. So what we're going to do at the top is, first thing is we need some upper textures here. So our lower texture was the blue bars plus the switch. Upper on the back side is missing. We're going to go to metal and use this metal 4. It's kind of this pipe looking thing that tends to work okay for lifts because it just suggests there's something mechanical going on that can support this. And then for the sides, I might go ahead and change these to something metal as well. Just use metal 2 for now. We can tweak it later. The floor, I'm going to use, there's a step texture. If you go under steps, there's step 1, step 2. This is different from step 1 and step 2 on Linedefs. These are flats. I'm going to grab step 1, and that was correct. So the only difference is the rotation. Vanilla Doom format does not allow you to rotate flats. So they ran into this when they were designing the levels for Doom, and they just stuck it in here with 2 different rotations. So the other one looks like this. And the way we're spaced, actually, either one works, but I like this one better. If you're using GZ Doom, you can rotate them, and you have a lot more freedom. This texture is off, so I'm going to grab these, zero out their offsets. Okay. Now I'm going to make a mistake here on purpose, just for demonstration purposes, and you'll see what that is here in a second. I'm going to go to the switch, look at my actions, and there's a lift action. So we have some W and some S lifts. So W is when you walk over a Linedef, it's going to tell something across a tag to act like a lift. Actually, all of these are tagged. Switch is going to activate like a switch. When you use the use key on it, it's going to go over a tag and activate a sector. Notice there is no gunshot one. So you cannot activate a lift with a gun in Vanilla Doom. Just something to be aware of if you started getting ideas from that switch trick we did earlier. SR lift lower weight raise fast. And we need a tag, so we're going to give it tag 2. And now this platform is also going to be tag 2. Now we're going to go into the game, and I'm going to show you the mistake I made on purpose. This is something to watch for when you're building levels and when you're testing, because it's an easy mistake to make, and if you tend to just clip through and not really do any thorough testing and skip areas and so on, it's really easy to miss this. Okay, that switch does look better since we lit it up one level. Open the door, we're going to come in here. I'm going to hit this and it's going to lower this, and what is going on here? Yeah, that was a little goofy. Let me run back around, show this off again. So the mistake I made is this lower texture is not set. If we go back to Doom, I mean, that's an easy mistake to make because you don't even see it here, but if you grab this platform, lower it a little bit, there's our missing texture. I'm just going to reuse this pipe thing here and call it good. So that's just something to watch out for whenever you're designing lifts, because that's a super easy mistake to make. On the other side of this lift, grab the line, go to our lift actions, and we're going to look at WR lift lower weight raise, and that's a walk action. I'm going to set that. We're going to give it the same tag of 2. And just for a quick demonstration on what that does, this abomination of Hall of Mirrors is gone. Now when I walk across the line, it lowers the lift again. So that allows you to backtrack here without jumping across. And actually, I noticed another thing. See how the switch is vertically repeating? I may just let that be. That's pretty minor. You'd have to go looking for it. I want to talk a little bit more about switches. So for demonstration, I'm just going to draw a 64 by 64, and I'm going to do it out here in the beginning area so that we can get to it quickly after launching the game. And I'm going to drag this up by 64 and set all the lower textures to something. Doesn't matter what, it can be anything, because this is not going to be a feature of the level. I'm just showing this off. I'm going to shift click so I can grab this entire circle of lines, go to our actions, go to lift, and we're going to do the switch repeat lower weight raise. I want to make sure it's a switch action. Give it a tag 3, set this as 3, and one of these I'm going to put a switch texture on, and I'm going to show you something here. Okay, start the game. So listen carefully to the sound. I'm going to first activate the black wall. That just sounds like a standard lift. Now I'm going to activate it by the switch. Do you hear the difference? The switch has a sound when it's activated, and that might be something you've never consciously thought of before when playing Doom, or even if you have some mapping experience, that's maybe not something you've thought about. But what's going on is because Doom knows this is a switch texture and it has 2 states. You have the red lit and the green lit with the lever down. That transition makes a switch sound. This black wall does not have 2 states, so there's no transition, there's no sound. This is just something to be aware of. In a case like this, you know, any Linedef that has a switch action on it, the switch is going to make noise if you put a switch texture there, and the switch is not going to make noise if you don't put a switch texture there. Okay, what I've done is I have gone ahead and moved my crate with the switch over here to the left, and I just cut out a sector within this wall up here. Let me go to visual mode. I just cut this out and assigned it tag 3 so that the switch will activate it. So now they're really far apart, and what I'm hoping is when you activate this using the black wall, you're not going to hear that. So let's test my theory. It's really quiet. I can hear it because I'm wearing headphones. I don't know that you can. So just to prove it, I'm going to hit this, run back over here. You can see this lowered. You can also see I forgot lower textures, which is fine because this is just an example. And my point behind this is this. The black walls, although they have an action set and it's a switch action, because there's no switch texture, they don't make a sound. So this is a case where this would be bad map design, probably, unless you're being really sneaky with secrets or puzzles. Because this black surface is activatable, but you have no feedback. You can hit it, nothing changes, you don't hear any sounds, but it's doing something over here, and you'd have no idea that's going on. But the switch, hear that switch sound? That's giving you feedback. That lets you know that something actually happened. So if I go here now and take the action off the switch, I'll just clear the action, set it to 0, relaunch the game. Because there's no action, now the switch can't be activated. So your switch texture transition only happens if there's an action defined on the line. Now, one last thing I want to cover. This will be fun. I'm going to go ahead and set our switch to be lift again. Do SR lift lower weight raise, and I'm not going to set a tag. I'm going to leave it at 0. 0 is the default tag. Everything in the map is 0 unless you've changed it. And I'm going to show you a trap that can happen. This will especially bite you if you're used to GZ Doom, because GZ Doom does its own thing and every other Doom engine is different. Now, what do you think is going to happen when I flip this switch? It's going to do an action. It's going to send that action to tag 0, which is the default tag. Oh my. Every sector in the level acted like a lift. Every single sector. Even these stairs. This is probably not what you want to happen. Just gonna go out on a limb and, make that assumption. The reason I bring this up is because GZ Doom has some intelligence behind the actions that no other Doom engine does. If you set an action on a line and you don't set a tag, GZ Doom is going to assume you want to apply the action to the sector behind the line. So if I zoom way in, see this little tick mark pointing this way? That tells you this is the front side of the line, this is the back side of the line. So in GZ Doom, the action is going to work on the sector behind it. And actually, I'll just switch to GZ Doom real quick, and we'll show that off. Maybe this is something to cover later. You can set up multiple Doom engines in Doom Builder so you can switch really easily. So now I'm in GZ Doom. So I didn't fix anything, but if I hit this here, in GZ Doom, it just lowers that lift. Kind of works the way you'd expect. But that is GZ Doom being different from everyone else. So whenever you're doing these actions, make sure you set a tag. You don't need them for doors, but basically for everything else, you do. One last detail we need to cover in here, and that is to actually make this secret. So what I'm going to do, this door, this is our gunshot activated door. I'll grab this big sector on the other side, open up our predefined effects menu, and we're going to use Effect 9, Secrets. And what that does is that this is a secret sector, so as soon as the player crosses into it, it's going to activate the secret. So this video ended up being a lot more long-winded than I expected, but I think things kept coming up that were interesting to cover, so hopefully all this makes sense. Hopefully you're learning a lot from this series. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 14.